Public forum. I remind all present that mobile phones must be switched off before the meeting, and the meeting is being recorded and live streamed. Please be aware we have a 5-minute time limit of speeches in the chamber. You'll hear a bell ring at 4 minutes and then another at 5 minutes. If you could please wrap up your speech in that last minute, that would be great. I'll also remind speakers that councillors may ask you a question, however, you are under no obligation to answer, and speakers are not to ask any questions of councillors. I'll also remind speakers that they have a 1-minute time limit in reply to the questions from councillors if any are asked. And lastly, please stick to the topic of your item in the agenda so that I don't have to bump you back on course. We're going to play a bit of musical chairs today. I have a conflict in the first speaker's item, Community Financial Assistance Program, so I will leave and the deputy will take the chair, and then the deputy will leave for the licensing and licensing, number 3, the third speaker, because she has a conflict in that one. So I'll call Stephen Simpson up for Woollahra Pastoral, and I will hand over to the deputy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simpson. Whenever you're ready.
It's Stephen Simpson from Medway, representing the Medway Community Association Incorporated. Here to talk about the Community Financial Assistance Program. I'll start off with we're in favour of it, of course, because we like to get money, but we've got 2 questions on recent requests we had. One was on sustainability, a list on sustainability, and it was in regard to a new water tank for the building and a bit of plumbing. All it was to provide money just to supply the product. The labour and the expertise was going to be taken out by tradesmen, and looked over by council. Graham Clark would be looking after it with the all-cow arrangement we have with them, and we missed out on that one. The reason we missed out on that was because of they didn't read it right apparently, and the fact that they didn't read it properly, saying that it was they didn't realise that there was labour involved. There was only materials, and it was a very low amount. The second one was the defibrillator. 2 years ago, with before the new council come on board, we were promised a defibrillator for nothing. The community projects, this come under the community projects area. We then applied just recently for this under the community projects agreement, and the reason why we didn't get that was because the hall was not completed. Now, that goes a bit further because at the moment we're trying to get a lease agreement with the council, and this has been going on since the 4th of March, where they promised that they'd look into it and they'd guarantee that we'd have a lease that we'd agreed on at that meeting for 21 years to $1 a year. And at this stage we missed out on that one as well. So that defibrillator is not going to go on because the whole hall's not completed, which is short of the mark, I believe, because the hall has a frontage to the main road and is quite accessible to the public. The history with the funding at this stage has all been done by the committee. We've raised money through different projects, whether it be a garage sale or whether it be a raffle or whether it be donations or whatever. And we've gone to the stage where we rebuilt the facade. We've taken all the asbestos out at our cost. We've made the hall lockable now, and we're just waiting for the situation where we've got a lease. Then we can then move forward and get some public money or some public grants, but they won't look at us until we get the lease. And this once again comes up. So we can't get the defibrillator because the project hasn't been completed. we can't get the outside funding where we can go dollar for dollar, whatever. We've got a few arrangements to be made out there, and here we go. We can't get that outside money because they don't believe that we've got a lease that's tangible and holding. So I'll leave that to the council. We're up in the air at the moment. We're a very, very close community out there at Medway. As you see with the history books I've given you, each councillor, we've got a lot of history behind us. A small community, but very tight, and all work with any opportunity we possibly can to better the community out there at Medway. This hall is located in a very strategic position. It certainly lends itself to any events that can be held within the village. And at this stage, I'd like the council to think about some of these requests that we got, and particularly the lease, to move on with that so that we can move ahead. But and the fact is that we've been to your workshops in regard to putting all these grants together. But we try to do the right thing all the way along, but we're not getting anywhere. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillors, did you have any questions? Yes, Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Steve. I believe I came to the first meeting during administration when Medway applied for a small grant to help it become associated. When was that? When did Medway...
Years ago?
Can you tell me a little bit about your previous attempts to get work done on the hall from that 5-year mark?
Yeah, so it started out with the council wanting to demolish the building because the building was in disrepair and it was a council building. So it was a community building being looked after by the council, badly maintained. Council put a fence around it and stopped anyone using it. Fair enough. We then formed the committee and then moved on. In doing that, we had a lot of hurdles because the council wanted to demolish it, but we went against that and we won. Through the administrator was in charge at that stage. And then from there, we had a battle on a DA. And we got around that problem with the DA, with the council convinced that we had the capability and the qualifications to do any building works, particularly at our expense and our looking at the Alcal situation with Graham Clark and his asset team. So we were off and running. So we didn't have to have a DA, and we were able to move on.
It's not a bad sound. It's okay, it's okay. Take your time. Were there any further questions, Councillor? Councillor Russell.
Thank you. Am I right in understanding at one stage you had all of the resources committed to fix the hall up and remove the asbestos from the community?
That's exactly right. We raised the money. It was $14,000 just to have a contractor come in there and remove the asbestos. And then we recladded the building with the watchful eye of the council to a very good fire rating so that there's no future problems with the building.
Councillors, were there any further questions in relation to the community financial grants? So the item 9.3 that we're looking at here. Yep, Councillor Russell.
Given that that work has been done, can you see any impediment to putting the defibrillator on the wall? Is the wall, if it's already clad, is there a spot that's accessible to put it on?
Yes, yeah, not a problem. The wall is sound as. It's a the building was built by the miners and they're prefab bricks made on site, and they are solid. And that's the front wall is clear of any fencing, and it's a well lit up situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, any other questions? Yep, Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Mr Simpson, for coming along today and contributing and advocating for your community. Could you share with us why the lease wasn't granted? for council?
At the moment, we don't know. They can't give us an answer. They say it's to do with the Crown land situation, but the council own the property and own the building, so I can't see what the problem is, you know. This whole area was originally Crown land and then given to the miners, I believe. And then the miners built the building and they had a cricket pitch and an oval and all sorts of things. So, I mean, this is generational. We're up to our 4th generation now being there. I mean, it's been a long time coming.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything further from the councillors? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr Simpson. We'll call
Thank you.
The Mayor back in.
Okay, next up we have Dennis Killick is speaking for the recommendation in item 9.9, draft code of meeting practice and draft public forum policy for public exhibition.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And in the spirit of the new model code, I request an additional minute to say how wonderful it is to see the new animal shelter open recently, the youth council going gangbusters, the advocacy in regards to the Penrose Public School, as well as councillors having the Jacinta Ardern effect and contributing to cultural uplift at this organisation. I have a way with my words, as most people know, but dear Mr Mayor, councillors, fellow residents, it's great to be on this side of the aisle, so to speak. Many of you know who I am, but for the benefit of the tape, as they say, I'm Dennis Killich. I'm a local resident, landowner, business owner, and I wear many hats in the Penrose Community Association as well as business chambers. I speak for item 9.9, the Code of Meeting Practice and draft public forum policy, proceeding to public exhibition for community consultation. Admittedly, this will not attract many submissions, perhaps from good governance nerds and democracy fans like myself. And I will table this as a submission, hopefully not the only submission. First up, councillors, listen, stop fidgeting, rummaging through emails, papers. This goes to my first point, that the code include an attentiveness clause for councillors and senior staff during the public forum. Admittedly, you have become better at this. When residents make representations, it is more than a social media post or an email or phone call. They take time out of their day during business hours, and they deserve 3 to 5 minutes of your full focus. Southern Highlanders are well-read, well-travelled people, and yes, they can sometimes be intense, intimidating, opinionated, but my experience is that most of our people are reasonable, grounded in reality, and open to hearing both the science and art of what's being proposed. And they want to see this organisation thrive. The model code is a model code and there are optional provisions there, but the local government minister, Ron Honig, recently said he wants to get out of the way of councils so that councillors can best serve their community the way they see fit. Our code, or the draft code and policy, can reach for excellence in democratic participation. However, there are restrictive elements to the code and policy with limits on the number of speakers, 2 for and 2 against. I therefore propose, as a submission, 3 amendments. That attentiveness clause I mentioned, increasing the number of people who can speak for or against an item from a measly 2 up to 3, and up to 5 for high-profile agenda items, which only comes up a few times a year. And then lifting the limit on the number of agenda items one can speak on from 1 to 3. I realise this can extend the public forum when high-profile agenda items come up in this chamber. However, just a reminder, this seat I'm sitting in is the people's seat, and it's the most powerful seat in this chamber. All other seats are replaceable with the democratic ballot. Most of the time, the 2-person limit suffices. After all, this chamber does not hear DA matters, which are delegated to staff and the panel, which means you have more time to focus on the big picture, the master plans, the vision for main streets and sports precincts, and long-term financial sustainability, as well as holding operational leadership to KPIs. But when we say big picture, strategic foresight, we the people do not expect you to delve into the toilet strategy like the last council meeting. Councillors, with respect, you spent over an hour last time and even voted against the procedural motion for a toilet break. All you need to do to be is secure in yourselves, and you need to be confident and know who you are and what your values are. That's when you'll embrace the public forum rather than fear it. If you let everyone have their say, even if you disagree with them, you won't be afraid of hearing contesting views from residents who want to see council leading from the front in, for example, the fight against the plastics factory or representations from the local business chamber about better communication. Lean into the discomfort of respectful critique. Finally, lifting the limit of items one can speak to from 1 to 3. I don't think it's surprising that a lot of people in our community wear many hats and have multiple interests and stakes. If I were allowed to speak to more than one agenda item, I would praise the cemetery's master plan as an example. I have a lot to say about the DA report, and I would say a lot of professionals out there don't focus on the numerical KPIs. It's more the qualitative outcome that we're interested in. And if I were allowed to speak to more than one agenda item, I'd speak about the PAMPs and the integration with the integrated transport strategy, but I can't. But I summarise. I speak for the agenda item, but propose 3 amendments as a submission. The attentiveness clause, increasing the number of people who can speak for and against, and lifting the limit on the number of items one can speak to. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr. Kilic, for coming along today, and I warmly welcome your fair and frank advice. It's music to my ears, actually. I must address the public toilet debate. Thank you for your feedback. Do you acknowledge that...
Sorry, Councillor, it's just questions, please.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, I'm coming to my question.
Just pertaining to the item we've got in
Yes.
front of us, please.
Well, may I address Mr. Kilic's point about the public toilet agenda item?
Oh, look, it was fairly off topic. I'd much rather you stick to the item, which is the draft code meeting practice. Anything around that is fine.
Okay. Well, Mr. Kilic, my other question to you is, do you feel that that councillors could be more present in the debate and more forthcoming with their independent thinking? Is that the thrust of your comments today?
Thank you, Councillor. Very much so. I always encourage councillors to keep to strategy and really delegate the operational matters. And I know I was being cheeky. I have a way with my words when I refer to or go on little tangents there. But I was making a point, and I think we, the people, would like councillors to focus on the vision, the big picture, and implementation stays with the staff. And I'm relaying some of the things I've heard over the last year or so. We would like to see councillors more present, absolutely, but also applying critical thinking. And not to be political, but assessing something based on its merits and not voting based on a ticket or an alignment or anything like that. It very much is about the merit of what's been proposed.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you very much. Next, we'll have Jill Cockram of Mossvale Community Gardens is speaking against the recommendation item 9.14, leasing and licensing of council land and buildings policy draft for adoption. And our deputy is just going to wait a few seconds there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, councillors, for this opportunity to speak to this issue of proposed rents for all, community groups on council land. So my name's Jill Cockram and I'm representing Mossvale Community Garden Incorporated, a not-for-profit organisation which is going to be probably seriously impacted should this policy be adopted. In 2004, Mossvale Community Garden was built by and for the community on an empty piece of council wasteland with no topsoil, everybody, all the neighbours, stormwater and an inconvenient area of bitumen. Over the ensuing 21 years, our garden community has transformed the area into productive organic gardens as a demonstration site for sustainable living strategies based on Council's 2031 Community Strategic Plan. The major ethic we base our provision of activities and services on is inclusiveness and community building for locals of all ages and abilities. The services, or a snapshot of the services and activities we've provided to our community, include hosting and coordinating a 2-year program for young teenage boys lacking a father in the household who needed mature male role models from the community to give them guidance. That was called Mentoring Towards Manhood program and went for 2 years. Providing training for after-school Duke of Edinburgh Award students to enable them to complete a community service module so they could achieve their Duke of Edinburgh Award, and that included students from the international school. We hosted over the years, many local school visits incorporating educational activities, obviously to do with gardening and clean food. Hosting many local school visits, incorporating providing educational activities over many consecutive years as part of Council's Schools Environment Day, which is held at Lake Alexandra in Mittagong. Over many years, we've been providing normalising activities in the community for disability groups and Indigenous people in our shire, welcoming them to contribute while interacting with us. Last month, we hosted and facilitated an event for Council called Swaptember, and we did that on site on Council's behalf. Currently, we're coordinating with a local First Nations art group to come and do some murals at the community garden. Horticultural therapy activities for seniors and community members with mental health issues in our community on a weekly basis. We have also run specific workshops for Council's Seniors Week program. Running waste reduction workshops at the Moss Vale Resource Recovery Centre, doing composting, worm farming and reuse, and we do that on Council's behalf. We engage Centrelink workers who are over 55 and, their chances of getting work in the community is very slight. And of course we have ongoing walk and talk education on organic gardening for our own members and volunteers. We provide all these services without a functioning kitchen, secure office space and no on-site toilet. We're still fundraising ourselves to build these. Fortunately, our neighbours at the Connect Christian Church allow us to use their ablutions, which involves a 100-metre stroll. We have been able to provide these services because over the past 21 years, our lease with Council has involved a peppercorn rent of $1 if requested. However, should this new rental policy be adopted by Council, we will not be able to continue to operate as we can't fundraise a monthly rental fee. There is only so much jam you can make and seedlings you can propagate and sell to cover expenses. The income we generate is minimal, seasonal and sporadic. It is usually spent on admin things like public liability and volunteer insurances and the ongoing costs of materials required in the production of organic food. Our not-for-profit exists because of a small but enthusiastic group of volunteers who every week give an average of 20 unpaid volunteer hours each. Like many other locally based community groups, we struggle to get new volunteers for this physical job. This limits the time and energy we can put into continuous fundraising whilst maintaining the existing gardens, which in itself is a continuous task. Council has a choice: exempt organisations like Moss Vale Community Garden from the leasing and licensing policy, or run the risk of having to take over management of the community garden. Our Community Garden Committee would appreciate certainty, thank you, rather than the anxiety of assurances that grants will be forthcoming year after year to cover these lease arrangements. We feel this is a matter of respect for the work we do and for and with Council. We tick all the boxes in supporting the Council's community strategic plan, even before it was a plan. We support vulnerable people with mental health issues, and this sort of uncertainty can be harmful. Our community signed up because we were contributing to a sense of community within the Shire to support others as well as sustaining a worthy cause. We will be requesting an exemption if the policy is adopted. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Champion.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Jill. I'm in awe of the description, to be honest, of all the things you achieve. I note that you've asked for an exemption from this policy should it be resolved today. I wanted to ask you something broadly about how you see that policy being enacted beyond the community garden, if that's okay. You're part of a broad and complex network of volunteers, non-profits. You interact with lots of other organisations as well, by the sound of it. Do you think there are possibly a range of other organisations that provide community services that this will apply to in similar ways, that will similarly dismantle? And secondly, are you concerned about how the policy may affect the local community and volunteer sector broadly?
Thanks, Heather. Well, our situation is probably a little bit different to a lot of community groups, community organisations on council land, because I understand that some of those groups will be making money. They can actually raise an income by hiring out their rooms and that sort of thing. Well, we don't have that option. There are other community gardens in the Shire who would be in the same situation. And also, I suppose, I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, but I think what I would say was that a lot of people volunteer because they want to contribute to community, and that if they think they have to fundraise rental money, which is going to actually add the burden quite a lot of hours on top of what they normally contribute. Because most of the people that come to our community garden, they have a garden of their own at home, so they're doing double gardening. And when we invite, people come in sometimes to have a look and they say, I've got my own garden, so I can't come and help you. And so this is the sort of issue of labour that is involved, like just preparing things. We do fundraise, like we run things for council and charge a little bit, not too much. And we do other things where we fundraise and we go for grants, but we don't always get grants. And the time taken for doing grants or actually for organising activities for other groups is considerable for the committee. And the committee are doing most of the work as well in the garden. We're only a small group. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kent.
Not so much a question, just to say thanks very much for coming along. And, community gardens any sort of gardens are important. Community gardens providing community food, very important. So we've heard you, and there'll be discussion in the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, that's the end of committee forum. We'll start the council meeting at 3:30. Thank you.